Hello, I'm Severo Martinez, the Literacy and Humanities Director for the New Mexico Public Education Department. Thank you so much for joining me for Storytime with Severo. So when I was growing up, I just mentioned my name is Severo. It is a very unique name. In this story, we're going to hear some more unique names. Names are very important because your parents or maybe your grandparents decided to give you that name. So let's get into this story and see what adventures or what journey we go on. This story is titled The Name Jar. It is by Yang Suk Choi. The Name Jar. Through the school bus window, Yoonhae looked at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. How many of you remember your first day of school? And she's in a brand new school. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Yoonhae's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Yoonhae had wondered. Again, she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it as she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean characters. She pictured her grandmother's smile. You can see when she was leaving from the airport with her grandmother. "Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Yoonhae, surprising her. Yoonhae looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Yoonhae answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Yoonhae," said Yoonhae. "Une?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Une," some kids chanted. No, Yoonhae corrected. It's spelled U-N-H-E-I. It's pronounced Yoonhae. "Oh, it's Yo-Hae," the boy said, like you, hey. "What about hey you?" Just then, the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Yoonhae hurried to get off. "Yoo-hae, bye-bye," the kids yelled as she left. Yoonhae felt herself blush. Remember, it's her first day in the bus. Nobody knows her name. And it seems like they are bullying her on the bus. I bet you've been in a new place. It's pretty scary. Yoonhae stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids in the bus had gone to another room, but her face still felt red. "Aren't you coming in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Yoonhae nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced, so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotos, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotos thanked him and greeted Yoonhae. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. She and her family just arrived from Korea last week. Yoonhae smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Yoonhae pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokotoast showed her to her desk, she felt many round, curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard someone whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and needs a new identity," a boy replied. Everybody's wondering what her name is. This is interesting. But remember, she said, I have not chosen a name yet. On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yoonhae kept thinking about her name. How was school, Yoonhae? Her mother asked when she walked in. Did you understand the teacher? Yoonhae simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandma. I'm glad you're learning English well, her mother said. You must study hard. Behave nicely and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean. I will, replied Yoonhae, but I think I would like an American name, she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with surprise. Why, Yoonhae? Is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it. But it's so hard to pronounce, Yoonhae complained. I don't want to be different from all the American kids. You are different, Yoonhae, her mother said. That's a good thing. Yoonhae just wrinkled her nose. It doesn't sound like a good thing to her. Later that day, Yoonhae and her mother went grocery shopping in their neighborhood. They passed Faddle's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti painting garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. The sign was in both English and Korean. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, Korean style, spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yoonhae's favorite for soup. It made Yoonhae smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mother said, doesn't mean we stop eating Korean food. Ah, she's going to get something special, her favorite food. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Yoonhae. Helping your mother with the shopping, he asked. Yoonhae nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yoonhae, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Yoonhae nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yoonhae. That evening, Yoonhae stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. Then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right at all. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. She said to the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. She was even trying to say her name with toothpaste in her mouth. What is she finally going to decide? The next morning, when Yoonhae arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Yoonhae took one out and read it aloud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yoonhae took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Yoonhae nodded and unfolded another piece. Wednesday. Yeah, you came here on Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help. A smile spread over Yoonhae's face. Ralph quickly said, we'll put more names in. You can pick whatever you like. Or pick them all, and you'll have the longest name in history. It sounds like they're trying to help her find her new name. But the question is, does she really need a new name? Let's keep reading. At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Yoonhae looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar voice called out to her. Yoonhee turned around to see that curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Don't you have any names? Yoonhee thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and took out the small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Wanna try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, said Joey. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yoonhee said. And then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. That is great. Joey wants to know more and was able to actually see the stamp of her name. Every day, the jar got fuller with more names, and Yoonhee read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marcos told her at snack time. I've put in 3 names, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about this. That's true. When you're born, your parents or someone gives you a name. When Yoonhee got home from school that day, her little brother he ran to give her a letter. It was from her grandma. She opened it quickly. It said, "To my Yoonhee, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here, the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you will always be my Yoonhee, your grandma forever." Yoonhee took out her wooden stamp and filled the paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. Remember what her grandma told her. Anytime you miss me, just stamp your name, and you will remember that I gave that to you. On Saturday, Yoonhee walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. Hi, Yoonhee. Hello, Mr. Kim, Yoonhee replied. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. Hey, said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. Your name is Yoonhee? He asked her with his eyes open wide. Yoonhee looked quickly at Mr. Kim, then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. Yes, it's pronounced Yoonhee, and it means grace, Mr. Kim added. Yoonhee. Joey said slowly, and this time he said it perfectly. It made Yoonhee smile. I'll have it ready for you tomorrow, said Mr. Kim to Joey. Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Yoonhee, Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him why he was at the store. Joey is at the same store. I wonder why. On Monday, Yoonhee came to class early to look at the names one last time. She was ready to decide her name. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was just a single piece of paper with a name on it. Yoonhee slipped it in her pocket. Where's your name jar? Ralph asked, as soon as he saw it was gone. I don't know, Yoonhei said. It wasn't on Mr. Kokoto's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As other kids arrived, they helped look. Soon Mr. Kokotos came in, and Ralph shouted at him, "The name jar is gone! The jar with all the names in it!" Gone? Mr. Kokotos replied with a look of concern. He asked Yoonhei, "Did you get a chance to read all the names?" Yoonhei nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. Yoonhei wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I liked the beautiful names and funny names you thought of for me," she told the class, "but I realized that I liked my name. I liked my name best, so I chose it again." Korean names mean something, Yoonhei said, and Yoonhei means grace. Grace? Grace-in-hei, shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. Yoonhei, Yoonhei, Yoonhei. Yoonhei said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better, even Mr. Kokotos. They applauded Yoonhei's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Yoonhei. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokotos reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Yoonhei heard her new friends say goodbye. "Bye, Yoonhei. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Yoonhei." Yoonhei said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone. Wonder where Joey went. "Yoonhei, Yoonhei, come downstairs," Mother called up to Yoonhei. "Your friend is here." Yoonhei rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. "Where did you find it?" asked Yoonhei breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name." And you did. He reached in and pulled out the names. "Do you want to keep them?" he asked. "Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir," Yoonhei said happily. Then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. "Do you want this back?" Joey grinned. "You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us, names with good meanings." "I could do that," agreed Yoonhei. I've already got a Korean nickname," Joey said. "Mr. Kim helped me choose it." Oh, that's great. Mr. Kim had helped him choose a Korean nickname as well. Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket. Then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. "Chinku," read Yoonhei. That means friend. And Chinku smiled back. He had gone to Mr. Kim to create a name stamp just for him, but one that said friend. In the end, Yoonhei was new to this school, and Joey really wanted her to use her real name because, again, we all have names that are unique to us. As I mentioned, my name is Severo, and it was actually my great-grandfather's name. So to me, it's many, many, many years of people hearing this name, and I am able to carry on that tradition. Today, I challenge you to find out why your parents or your grandparents or whoever named you, why did they name you that name? There might be an interesting story behind your name. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I challenge you to find out what your name means, and I also challenge you to read a book and let it take you on a new journey today. A reminder to be kind to everybody and maybe say hello just the way that that one boy told Yoonhae hello on the bus. It might make a world of difference. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for joining me for Storytime with Severo.